everybody, what's going on? Here for another Monday Echo Means Business Live. We'll give this a couple minutes and let people hop on. We're going to have a fun little group chat here about safety and wellness and all things good on a Monday. So give it a minute or two, let people hop on in. As always, go ahead, comment in the chat, let us know what's going on, how your Monday is going, and we'll get this thing going in here in a minute. I see I got Alex Carey and my buddy Edison from Country Lawns, which I bet you is going to get renamed soon because I might have seen or heard a little something, and I'm proud of the moves that Edison's making. Edison, a Echo Means Business User Advisory Group alumni, so thanks for joining us on here. Good old A Cut Above Lawn Care, West Virginia. Always good to see you on here. So welcome back, guys, to another Monday night Echo Means Business Live, here for a fun group chat. Hope you guys have been having a awesome Monday if you're listening with us live. If not, listening at a later time, that is awesome too. We love that very much. Now, later, whenever it is, we love that you're joining us. So we got a fun group chat today on personal wellness. If you joined us last week live, you saw our awesome alumni chat that we had, just kind of continuing on some great ideas on how to have a awesome season this year. So we're going to keep that same principle going, but we're going to hone in on some real specific concepts this week. We're going to focus more on personal wellness and safety. For those of you who don't know me, I am Michael Bedell, the owner of Bedell Property Management here in Southeast Michigan, and I'm going to be joined by some of my other Echo Means Business User Advisory Group members, and we're going to get them on here momentarily, and like I said, we're going to have a fun chat today. So give me a second. I'm going to pull these guys on here, and then we'll see what we got going on in the chat. I see we got our buddy Knight9938. Thanks for joining us, man. You'll have to let me know. Did you get that blower yet? What do you think? He won blower that we gave away the other week. So always doing fun stuff here. You never know what's going to happen. So on here, if technology lets me do our thing, and we'll dive into our chat. We'll see. Hey, there we go. Oh, hey, I like the way this is already looking. We got a guy who looks like a construction worker and a guy who kind of also looks like a construction worker.
Josh.
Awesome. All right, we're going to see if we can get
take the glasses off.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get one more on here, and we'll let
safety first, Richie. Safety first.
Perfect.
I can't see shit.
Cool. Well, we've got the whole gang in here live, and so I'll let these guys introduce themselves, and then we'll hop in and chat. So we'll start with Richie here, and you can just introduce yourself and then popcorn it off to the next guy like we're back in elementary school reading in a circle.
All right, so some of you may or may not know me. My name is Richie Plemons. I own Plemons Lawn and Landscape.
That sexy beard is so frozen. Maybe just for me, but I don't know. Justin, is Richie frozen for you too?
Yeah, he disappeared on my end.
Oh,
I don't
man.
even see him anymore.
Well, he was. We'll give him a minute to circle back. Technology is a way of doing this. It did it to Scott the other week, and now it's plagued Richie. Who knows? We might have to change up how we're doing this technologically in the future if our lovely sponsor wants to continue having me hang out with you guys on Monday. We'll have to see. That's to be voted on here shortly, and I'm going to vote for better technology because I think we're 0 for 2. So we'll try and get Richie back in here, but let's jump over to Justin. Tell everybody who you are, what you got going on.
Hey everybody, my name is Justin Devasthali, owner of Spartan Tree Solutions. I've been in the tree industry 17 years now, and part of the user advisory group with Echo for 2 years.
Cool, cool. What about you, Mr. Josh, construction man?
I'll keep the vibe going, accent and all. So my name is Josh, and I own Currivan Green Company, landscaping in Eastern Massachusetts, a hardscape company. I'm trying to make up for the loss of Richie. So
I was gonna say, I didn't know you could talk without that Boston accent.
I can talk without it all, boy. You have no idea.
Oh dang! That's awesome. That is good stuff. And for those of you who are maybe listening later and can't see, Josh is decked out in the yellow safety vest and the hat and the safety glasses. I mean, he looks fresh off that job site. Oh wow, Boston Celtics logo on it.
That's right, baby. That's right, baby. Celtics.
That's how you know you're a serious trades guy. Is you have like some sports team stuff or some cool emblems or logos, maybe like your motorcycle club or something like that on your hard hat. That's the real deal. Versus if you were like a kid like I was on job sites, they identified you by writing your name real big in letters on the side of your hat so you couldn't lose it. And everyone knew you were a kid. So I noticed yours doesn't say Josh. So that must mean no. You've done this a while.
Yeah, I don't want rocks getting thrown at me from a distance. People can mark me out that way. So
Smart man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see if we can get Mr. Plemons back in here, but okay, he's gonna try and get back in here. So we'll dive in, and I'll let you guys get to chatting, and then I'll see if I can do a little tech, what have you here. So we wanted to start this discussion off on the idea of most people, when we talk about safety in this industry, it's like, oh my gosh, here we go. They're going to tell me to wear like sunscreen or like some safety glasses, and all that stuff is very important, and we are going to talk about that. But we figured we'd start off talking about like some of the other maybe less obvious safety things that you really ought to think about, and it's not just you and it's not just your team. Part of why safety is so important is because we need to make sure that everyone around us on any job site we're on ever is as safe as possible. And if not, it's our job to make sure that they are safe. And I'd say that in like all seriousness, because I know safety is very important to me, Bedell Property Management, and a couple of the other companies I'm involved in. Safety is at the forefront of what we do. And then I know also at Echo, I've had the privilege of touring their facility many, many times. And you like can't make it hardly in the door there without realizing that safety is like part of their culture, and they like whether you're in the office or on the floor of the warehouse, like you are doing things as safe as you can possibly do it. It's something very, very serious. So I want to talk to some other guys who are also very adamant about how serious this is, not just for themselves and their team, but I'll let them tell you all about it, on why safety is important to everyone on their job site. Josh, let's start with you, because you are the epitome of safety right now.
all right, I'm like the Granger guy.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I mean, for starters, let's talk about things outside the ordinary, like yellow cones or first aid kits. But things as far as saline for eye wash stations, really important. Especially you got guys that are using blowers, whip eaters, chainsaws, things kick back. You don't just want to go and get a little bit of tap water and pour it in your eye. You want to be able to have that saline water, clean yourself out real good. Stuff like having electrolytes, water on the truck, extremely important. And this isn't just pounding, one of these little waters, every, hour or two. This is constantly hydrating throughout the day. You guys like Justin's up in a tree all day. He's cooking, we're out in the direct sunlight all day on pavement, and we're cooking. So you have to constantly hydrate from the night before throughout that entire thing. I mean, that's why all day, when we get above 75 degrees, I just bring cases of water and Gatorade. The electrolytes and the water, just keep pounding them. You have to reinforce yourself. I know as owners, solo operators, we tend to think, oh no, we can just run one more time. Keep that bottle of water right in your pocket, a little water like that, and then keep pounding.
Yeah, man.
Cool.
I wear a Camelback when I'm climbing, man. Last year the humidity got to me so bad. I had some pretty close episodes and not good, man. That was my first year doing tree work out here in Tennessee, and it was bad, man. I almost had to get rescued up in a tree, and
Oh man, Justin, did your audio cut out there? Oh no. Yeah, I don't. I don't think we
Justin,
can hear.
can't hear you, buddy. Oh no.
Oh.
There we go. It's that country internet, man. Country internet not working.
oh man, can you guys hear me?
Oh man. Yes, you're back. All
There we
right.
go.
Tell us all about.
Wow.
We heard that you had to be rescued up in a tree, and then we could see for
Almost.
those live. We could see you talking animated, but we couldn't
was
hear
intense.
anything.
I'm
So you're
sorry.
gonna have to tell the whole
Guys.
story over again.
Yeah, so I mean, last year was my first year in the Tennessee heat, and it got pretty close to where I almost had to get rescued in the tree, man. I couldn't move, getting really dizzy, and man, I just felt everything was spinning, and that's kind of when I knew I had to take hydration serious. So I started wearing a Camelback every time I climb now, because it gets to one of those times where you don't want to call up for a bottle of water, and the guys are fooling around trying to tie a bottle of water on the rope, and it's falling down, and so I'm just like, I'll just wait till I get down, and then it's too late, and you're dehydrated and dizzy and cramping and stuff like that. So that's what I do. I wear a Camelback usually all summer.
Nice, man. That's super smart. So I kind of asked though, like about like I know we talked a little bit the other week. Just you were talking about like sometimes you guys all have comms going, and like maybe a homeowner will walk out, or someone's walking down the street and their dog like that's kind of more what I wanted to talk about, was like how, at least initially, how we keep like others in the community safe, and then I figured we'd whittle this conversation back into like how we as a community stay safe, you know, between like us and our staff, and then, you know, for just, you know, maybe end the talk by how we all stay safe. So we kind of dove into that with the Camelback, but tell me more. I know you were talking about in the call about like some things that you do at your team to make sure that not just you and your guys are safe, but anybody who enters your active job site.
Yeah, absolutely. So comms are probably one of the biggest parts in that. The factor, we try to wear Sennas. They're installed in all our helmets. So, you know, when I'm in a tree, I don't have that type of view that everyone has on the ground. And sometimes I have a better view. And so, you know, things like working in school zones, and then, you know, school gets out and I'm still in a tree, things can change rapidly. School gets out and now you have kids walking, you know, up and down the street, and, you know, they're curious and they're stopping. And so whether I can see them or you know, we're running chippers. And I mean, you guys hear about this stuff in the news that, you know, people getting sucked into these things. And so things can change, and the guys can say, hey, there's kids running around and playing tag. Let's shut the chipper down for a little while. And now we maybe slow the pace down, or, you know, we can communicate these things rather than just chipper full blast. We can't hear each other. I don't know there's people underneath me, or, you know, walking down the street, heavy traffic. You know, really, the situation can change in a moment like that. So I think comms are one of the biggest things that contribute to our safety in the public and just the community.
That is super smart. And you know, it's like a one-time investment that you spend on this technology, but it's like a lifetime of safety, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's that. I mean, it goes along with, you know, the job, like you said. It keeps us safe as well. And I mean, it's communication with the guys. I think a lot of, over the years, we didn't have comms. A lot of, you know, when I first started, and people get hurt when you can't communicate, you can't hear chainsaws and chippers and things like that. So it's a game changer, really.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Josh? What about in like the hardscape industry? Is there anything that you guys do specific to that, or like shutting down and kind of quarantining the job site, or tell me more about that?
We don't get into comms and snow work we do, but in hardscape, it's more or less flaggers. You know, we don't need details on every job where we're excavating, especially if it's residential. off the street, but if we're loading from a yard into a street line, we'll have a flagger outside, one of our own flaggers with the vest, cones out, site closed, and detour people around, make sure they're safe, direct traffic all the way around. And it's more or less, always a spotter in there when we're digging. You get a guy in the hole, vest, knows the hand signals, gas line, electric line, anything like that, in case we spark anything or hit anything. Cutting, same thing. In events that we can't wet cut, we do have air systems and vacuum systems to try to avoid dust going anywhere. We try to keep people out, but again, people only listen as much as you tell them, so you got to that's where these green vests come in handy. The green vest and the hand motions, they come in handy.
Yeah. And admittedly, you kind of look like someone that I wouldn't want to mess with, because you look like the tough NPC character, because it's he doesn't have the eyes. I can't really see who this guy is, but he looks like he means business right now. And if he's telling me that I need to turn around and go the other way, that's what I'm gonna go do. I don't know. This guy has equipment. He's serious.
Dude, that's why it's business in the front, party in the back. That's why we got it on the back. Yeah.
Yep, very smart, very, very smart. So yeah, that's cool, and I'm glad you brought up the silica dust issue, because that is definitely kind of a hot button topic. And I know some people in some communities it's I'd say as potent of an issue as backpack blowers or something like that, or as polarizing of an issue is maybe a better way to put it. Yeah, right on. Well, that's great, because it's important that we keep others safe, even if they don't value their own safety. I know I'm lucky enough to have some family in law enforcement, and that's something they talk about all the time, where at the end of the day, their job is a lot of times helping keep people safe when maybe they don't value their own safety enough to do it. And it's not always perceived that way, but at least that's their intent, is they maybe are coming off as a bad guy in the moment, but it's because they think that you could be a danger to yourself or others, based on actions that sometimes people take. So on that note, let's kind of transition to some of the things that we already talked about, where it's good to make sure that everyone around us is safe, but we can certainly take extra ownership when it comes to ourselves and the members on our teams and subcontractors and so on and so forth. So let's circle back to Josh, and I'm going to try one more time to get Richie back on this call. And let's just dive into some of the additional things that you maybe haven't mentioned that you do at Currivan Green Companies to keep everybody safe.
Well, look, let me just back up one more second, just kind of how we keep people safe. So I just want to give an example. One time we didn't take the initiative to actually set things up. We were doing a commercial project on a restaurant. We were building a patio, and we were doing site work. Site work consisted of the electrical, gas line, and low voltage lines. This is an old mill building that has 5 courses of asphalt, encased generators. Generators encased in concrete, and we have probably 6 or 7 trenches just intertwining each other. And we were told by management that they would take care of any blockades, temporary fencing. Nothing ever went up. We had women jumping over trenches in high heels getting to their offices. People run literally 2 feet trenches, a 2 foot trench, 2 foot trench, jumping over these things to get in. And we didn't take the initiative. Now you can just imagine the liability on that. And just to show you how stupid some people can be when they walk through something like that, knowing that, hey, I could take the 2 minutes and go the other way. And I mean, that was a massive liability on our part to not, originally just from the get-go say, no, we're going to put temp fencing up and block everybody out of here.
Yeah, that's. I'm really glad you brought that up, because you think that that would be an obvious situation, but a lot of times it isn't until you literally almost have to grab someone and drag them outside. Your people are walking through this. Does this appear safe? And that's what it takes for the light bulb to come on. And they just, because they're not around it every day. They don't they don't see that part of the project. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because there's a lot of times, even whether it's safety or not, where society needs more leaders, and I was just talking with a friend of the show, Melanie, about this today, about how, if people took more of a leadership initiative on even just smaller issues, it would be for the betterment of all of us. And this is just another great example of that, where, like, thank God your company, basically put a stop to all that nonsense. Otherwise, some stiletto wearing gal or guy, because you can't judge. It's great if that's what they want to do. Either way, they're going to make all sorts of choices, and one of them is going to be in your trench.
And they're going to get buried in that.
Exactly, and no one wants to identify as in a trench. So, cool. All right. Well, so let's talk a little bit more about how we do it at your company.
So for starters, when it gets on a normal day, I'll be honest with you, it's more or less kind of bring your water, make sure you have your essentials for the day. You're grown-ups, you can do it. We handle first aid kits, saline kits, small amounts of water, anything over like 78 degrees. We try to hit the guys with as much water, electrolytes as possible. Keep everybody hydrated. You have no idea how much you actually sweat off all those electrolytes, sweat off all that water. Heat stroke kicks in a matter of like 15 minutes once you get going or something like that. And you become lethargic and you don't even know what you're doing. If you're working by yourself and you're in a backyard somewhere, forget it. You have no chance. So you got to make sure that you're staying hydrated. If you got guys that go off and doing their own thing, they're staying hydrated. Maybe they have a cell phone or they have a comm on them where they can reach out. I like to comment you when it comes to Justin's industry there. I mean, there was a local company out here where it sounded like the kid that was loading a chipper had been fatigued. It was like something like it was a heat wave of 90-something degrees. The kid was kind of wet behind the ears with the chipper. Hadn't drinking really anything all day besides soda, coffee. Young kid, probably partying the night before, falls into the chipper on like his 5th day of work, and a lot of that, like they didn't push it towards dehydration or heat stroke, but I mean, from what it sounded like, the kid wasn't drinking anything all day, and then mix that up with some, not having the experience behind him of working with heavy machinery, and I mean that's a nasty mark. But I mean, so we try to make sure everybody's on key. There are protocols and policies as far as what you're doing. You got to be over a certain age. You have to be with us with a certain amount of time before you pick up a demo saw, a chainsaw, for God's sakes, even hedge trimmers. We've had 18-year-olds that will come in and, my main guy will give them a set of hedge trimmers, and that's a no-no because, again, experience speaks all. They can pick up a rake, they can pick up a broom, they can pick up a blower, but that's it. I mean, then your liability out. Go where the experience is, and that's what we try to keep just in the mindset is like the main guys get to use the equipment. You work your way up, you prove yourself. You're the guy going and running and getting the water for the guys that are doing it, back and forth.
Yeah, and I think it's important for sometimes us to explain to the people on our team that like everyone wants to move so fast in society now, and part of it is technology and how busy we've made all our lives, and so everyone's so on the go, and they want to move up to the next level, and life's like a video game, and they just go, and like it's smart that you have people slow down and like, no, you're going to bring the water for a week because like you're going to pick up all this little stuff on why we do things the way we do before we start giving you anything that could be dangerous to do. That's very, very, very smart, and probably not enough people do that. So that's a very, very commendable thing. Very commendable. What about you, Mr. Justin? Tell me more about maybe things that you do that are a little more specific.
So I'd say one of the most important things that we do is job briefings prior to the job. So, when we get there, I used to be super quick. I mean, the second my feet hit the ground out of the truck, man, I got to remove the tree and I'm trying to get home. And that's a lot different now. That was just kind of in my younger days. And so I think we work a lot more efficiently and safer, taking that 15 minutes of like everybody walking the job together and kind of guiding everybody. Okay, this is the scope of work here, and here are the potential hazards. So I have this. You probably won't be able to see very well, but this is kind of just like a basic pre-job safety briefing. Just kind of, I mean, you can look any online. They're pretty basic, but it has your work location, which is super important. So in case of an emergency, you know, everyone reacts differently to an emergency situation, but you know, when all they're going, you have no idea where you're at. You don't know what city you're in. You know, the address is different every day. So, you know, work location is at the very top. So in case something happens, you know, I've been doing it a long time and multiple. I mean, I can, you know, 5, 6, 7 times I've been in a tree that uprooted on me and could have been really bad. One was pretty bad, but I mean, now I'm stuck in the tree. Somebody on the ground needs to be able to call emergency and know, hey, we're at this place. This is exactly where we're at. We're in the backyard. So these, you know, the job briefings are incredibly important. So the location's on there. We're walking the job, going over these, you know, these checklists that we can see, okay, this, you know, there's power lines here. We're going to be rigging things. There's a school, you know, next door. So let's watch, you know, kids running around, you know, potential hazards, slip, trips, falls, you know, kind of basic stuff, electrical things, holes in the ground, you know, you name it. But so that's probably one of the biggest things that we try to do. And then, you know, you have your crew names on there and the scope of work to be performed. That way everyone's on the same page and not 2 of you guys and then one guy's just kind of lost, like, oh man, there was a power line there, and just kind of oblivious to it all day. So everyone knows, hey, there's this huge massive cavity in this tree that could potentially fail. So we all have to kind of keep our ears open, and if you're cracking, this is why. And you know, so all these different things, I think, is making sure that we're all communicating on the same page, because somebody else on, you know, when we're doing the walkthrough, they might point something out that I missed, or vice versa, you know. And so everybody going through pre-trip, you know, pre-climb inspections, things like that.
Hey, I'm kind of curious, Justin. What is a full-fledged tree company? What's the average insurance policy cost for you guys?
Man, that's
not yours per se, but like just across the board. Like, what is the actual tree company's insurance policy with like all like the safety issues that come up with it and stuff?
I mean, I don't know if there is an average. I mean, I have friends in the company that are paying, you know, 10 times more than I am. I think it all depends on your employees, the trucks and all that. Like for me to have the $1 million coverage it went up about $1,000 from last year. So, I mean, I'm at maybe 2, but I know people paying like $20,000, but they're like way bigger than I mean, I'm just a couple guys, you know, not much equipment, but when you're looking at large scale, like 50 trucks and, you know, 20 crews and things, I have no idea. And even local companies here, they're paying 3 times more than I am for insurance. I think it all kind of depends on how long you've been in service, or, you know, in business too. But I'm hoping that mine doesn't keep increasing.
Yeah, and as you can see, I pinned the comment here because I learned how to do that, because I'm almost a boomer when it comes to technology, but I'm trying real hard, guys. And my buddy D's Lawn and Landscape, friend of the show, before job checklists are a must in any industry, they could be lifesavers. And that's absolutely true. As Justin was talking, I was thinking about how I heard somebody talk once at an event, and they shared that it was more tree related work, but it could apply to any industry, where they make sure that they're facing like out, like they at a moment's notice could like get in the truck and we got to back out into traffic. Like if someone's like becomes unconscious, and the best move is like get them in a vehicle and get them to a hospital, like they can do that. And or they also make sure that like the way they position themselves would allow an ambulance to access a site. And you know, it's sometimes it's not always applicable, but as Justin was talking, I like thought of that, and how I've even started. You know, so it's not always applicable, but there's times where like, even though maybe I'm doing something where like, you know, I'm just like spraying some Roundup, on some curb edges for a contractor. Like, what could go wrong? But something could go wrong, and like, I need to, we should try and put ourselves in a quick exit position, because that is the safest position most of the time. Anything you guys want to add to that?
I mean, I guess I'll go into my industry twofold is, getting on a project. If we're digging for anything, obviously we call it dig safe. Our biggest thing is to check against the ticket to make sure everything's marked, kind of go through with whoever's there, where you're going to be hand digging, where you're going to stay, where you're going to stage stuff, just to avoid an accident. So, I mean, we don't have a major pre-trick or pre-service checklist, but it's essentially just don't blow the house up. Follow the dig safe ticket. So, I mean, we go through probably about 70 tickets a year between light excavation and hardscaping, and they give you a 3 feet buffer on either side with those utilities, and they can be off. They can be off by 6 feet, by 12 feet. They may not have a new line or an old line that may have been an old water line that's still blocked up that you hit. So, in Mass, a lot of water departments don't come out on dig safe. They want to know who's tapping into their water line. That's a whole separate market. So we know we have to see red, blue, orange, green, and all the rainbow before we start digging.
100%, and that's super smart. Actually, I'm involved in a project that's going to involve some excavating and tying into some storm drains. And I had to be the person that said, time out, I'm going to get all the utilities marked, and then we're going to design based on that. Because otherwise, like, half of these ideas could get thrown in the toilet because it might involve moving utilities or severing utilities as they sit to perform what we need to do. And it was like I was kind of stunned that like I had to be the one that said that, because it wasn't necessarily should have been my role. It should have been some other people's role. But people don't think about that. And then, yeah, to Josh's point, like, just because the flag is here, like, it doesn't mean that that's exactly where something is, or the spray paint is there. And that's very, very well said. I think that, we try and pass the buck sometimes in life, and in this case, in safety, and bad expensive things can happen. I'll just say, before I ask Justin here and kind of turn it over to him, the other thing I'll add is that, even if you got to the point where now you've got the utilities marked and you excavate and you get things, cut apart, and then you've got to hook them up, everyone just take a moment and please make sure you hook them up correctly, because I'm not going to name names, but one of the companies that I have is involved in a project in a very free state that Paul mentioned on our last live stream, and they hooked up the sewer line to the water feed and vice versa, and it caused the whole site to be shut down for a couple days and cost, like, I kid you not, millions of dollars. So, like, take all this stuff super seriously, because it's one thing to get a job that has a lot of zeros in it, but that company gave that all back and then some, because, the worst thing you ever want to do is do that on someone that has way more money than you. So don't be dumb. Slow down, get your utilities marked, and then realize they might be wrong. And then even if you've made it through all of that, you can still mess it up. So read the drawing, slow down, because I can't, like, that story will be legend for like the next 50 years. And I wish I could share the name of the company, because it is the most ironic name in the entire world, because that is the opposite of what they did that day. And you guys could probably maybe figure it out, but like, my goodness, like, everyone needs to slow down. This stuff is super, super important, and can, like, not just ruin your day, but literally ruin like an entire community's day, right, Josh? Like, you could take out the whole power to the community if you're dumb enough. So.
Well, if for anybody in the Northeast that remembers, in 2018, there was a subcontractor for National Grid, who is the gas company up there. They were doing a valve update, and the journeyman that was in the hole reversed the valves and essentially blew out 7 different towns, gas mains. They blew up probably about 12 houses. We were evacuated. I mean, even in my attic, there were pinholes all throughout the gas lines. And I mean, this cost billions, if not more. They just finished the settlement to everybody that lived in the community. I mean, we were out of our house for probably about 4 months before it got fixed. And that's just from one asshole one guy in the hole that didn't know what he was doing and reversed those connections. And he killed a couple people too. I mean, sad to say, but again, you don't know what you're doing. But small things, like on a smaller scale, we did a project years ago where we had all the gas lines marked out, and they don't give you depth when you look into gas lines or electrical lines if they're buried underground. They'll never give you depth. You have to look at your code and then hope that the contractor prior buried them to code. We were doing a great elevation that had a 20% slope, trying to bring everything up. We were taking everything out. We got to the rhododendron, right? The gas was marked probably 5 feet off to the right. We started lifting the rhododendron with the bobcat. The flagger started flowing his arms, gas leak. So we stopped, didn't smell anything. Got a pry bar under there, gas leak. There was a gas line rooted. I mean, the rhododendron was rooted around the gas line. So this gas line was buried probably about 7 inches underground, or the grade was changed at some point. So it took probably, and mind you, the dig safe marker was about 5 to 6 feet to the right of it. So it took about 2 hours in the Sawzall to get this done. And then we still had the gas company come out to check the line. And this wasn't on a big money job. This was a quick grade elevation. Should have been out in 2 days. Could have blew that house up. So you can't always trust that either. So you have to be extremely vigilant when it comes to utilities. Don't trust that they're marked correctly. Don't trust that they're buried to the right depth, because there are shitty contractors out there that will just throw stuff in there and run.
Yeah, that's a great point. And that the grade changes, like they might be going off of bad data. Like at one point in time it was 5 feet underground, but like that people don't always pull permits and stuff like that. Like I know earlier, Josh, you were talking about a flagger, and I was thinking about how like in Michigan, in a lot of the communities, not all, but in a lot of them, you literally have to get a permit from either the community or the county road commission to have a flagger, unless it's in a like private subdivision or something like that. And just because that's like the only way you get saved in that situation is like it got permitted and plans got made and those hit the record, if you will. But otherwise, like, yeah, it was 5 feet, but then somebody came in and scraped the full front yard off and made it a walkout or something like that, and now it's only 7 inches. And whoop-de-doo, now Josh has the worst day at work ever. Thankfully, it wasn't that bad, but.
And when they say that the gas line's been replaced, they're not digging up and replacing gas lines. They're going through that old cast iron and they're just hitting it with the poly pipe and shimmying it through. So it's, this house in particular, I think that this gas pipe was over 100 years, or probably about 80 years old or so, that was running through there. So I mean, it again, had it been updated, there could have been a poly sleeve in there, but I doubt it. I highly doubt it. But it was all it would have taken was an aerator going through there, and it could have clipped that thing.
Exactly. So, all right, Justin, your turn. Sound off on this.
Man, all right. Remind me, what's my topic here?
Oh, you hit me with that Dave Chappelle line. Yeah, it was a tragedy. Can you repeat the question?
No, oh man, dude.
That's my favorite. I've always wanted to say that at some point in an interview, because I think that's such a good one-liner. Like that, whoever thought that and got that on camera, man, that's gold. I'm so glad that didn't make the editing room floor. Yeah, no, we were just. I was really actually seeing if you had anything to add. otherwise, let's just talk more about things that you do specifically to make sure that you're safe. I mean, we talked about some of the things that you do to help others and your team, but what does Justin do at home or otherwise just to make sure that you're as safe as possible so you can do things like join us on live streams or go cut people's trees down?
Yeah, man. I'd say as the years go by, I'm more and more prone to kind of cherish my sleep. That has become highly important to me, especially at the the difficulty of tree work that I'm doing nowadays, and these big hazardous trees, and then kind of having newer guys I'm working with. I can't go at it like fatigued and just like, I don't know. When you're younger, it's a little different. You can operate on 2-3 hours of sleep all week long, but it's just a little different as you get older. And so I realize fatigue kicks in and you're not thinking right. And I know statistics, man, of, so past 40 years old, I believe it's like 80% of like tree related incidences. It increases that much by 80% more after 40 years old. So, I think that's a lot of different things, taking a lot of risks. If you're in the industry for 20 years and you've been taking that risk, time runs out, but there's a lot of different things collectively. So the older I get, I'm trying to slow down, be safer, and sleep, and so my mind is fresh and I'm firing on all cylinders, I think that's super important. So coffee too, but.
Yeah, dude, that's super smart. I've admittedly been burning the candle at both ends a little bit this week. And finally, last night I caved and went to bed early. And I woke up this morning. I got like so much done in the first hour and a half of the day. And I was like, holy shit, this is what it's like to be awake. Like, man, I've been working at like not such great capacity the past handful of days. Like, this is this sleep is a good thing. I had not heard that anecdote about tree injuries and age, but I would believe it. It's any of that stuff is a young man's game, and people think that's like because of like a strong back or something like that. But it's like a mental quickness. I think it's for the same reason that like very few people stay pro athletes even past their mid-30s. Is like you can't run and gun as fast as the 18, 20, 25-year-old crowd. You never will.
Sure. Yeah.
Smart. Yeah. Cool. Anything else, or should we ask Mr. Josh here?
I don't know. He kind of got me with it. I'm pushing 40, so I'm staying out of trees now. That's a damn sure.
Yeah. Hey, does that also have to do with like lifts and stuff? Asking for the other gray-haired guys in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was actually just within the tree industry, that age makes up a majority of the industry injuries, and I think that's just a lot of the old school, and even me, like you get complacent, and that's a big thing. Like I've been doing this for 20 years. The book, like I know the book, but it doesn't matter what industry you're in. You get used to knowing the basics, and then you get used to taking shortcuts. Just these little shortcuts make your job a little easier, a little faster, a little, the quicker way to get done with the job, or, faster. And these little shortcuts sacrifice safety sometimes. And you do that, 2 times a day, 5 days a week, then, hundreds of times a year for 5, 10, 15 years. Eventually, it's just one of those things that catches up with you, and you don't think anything of it because you've been doing this exact same thing for so many years. It's like, it doesn't matter. I know what the book says, but I'm going to do this because I've been doing it for 10 years now. And then you accidentally cut your rope. And when, obvious, arboriculture standards, the ANSI standard says to always have a double tie-in. You have your primary and then your safety line, or two, always 2 points of contact. And, you get used to it. It's like, it's just one cut. I'm going to leave my safety off. And then you do this for so many years, and then at one time you slip, you lose your footing, cut your lifeline, now you fall 60 feet. It's just that one time that you've done it, all your life. So that complacency and slowing down, doing It's just the shortcuts is where, gets a lot of people.
Do you want to hear kind of a brutal story? So that same project in Miami, there was a fatality last week, and it was a roofing issue, and the guy was double tied in and unhooked himself and then decided to change elevations. And he didn't fall 60 feet. He only fell 40 feet, but died instantly. And the whole job site was closed for several more days because of that. Yeah, it's not like this isn't even a hypothetical. I was very apprised to this happening last week, and thankfully it's no real consequence to what I do because I'm not I'm just a consultant. So there's no I'm not consulting on the roof even. So thank God for all of that. But I heard all about this because it was a freaking nightmare, and it came the OSHA investigation showed that he was hooked in and unhooked himself. No one asked him to do it. No one even asked him to change elevations. But he was double tied in, and he died with his harness on, and did it, but he just I don't know what happened. Whether it was complacency or he was thinking about something. No, we'll never know. We'll never get a chance to ask and find out. But terrible things happen, and so, dude, I'm so glad you mentioned that because that's it. Complacency kills, literally, and unfortunately I just had to be around that experience, and my condolences to the team that had to deal with that, because I know it was really shitty for all the guys to have to go back to that job site this week and finish that and be on the same area where all that happened after attending their friend's funeral this past weekend. So may you guys all take that kind of seriously, because I've this has been a fun conversation. I'm a pretty fun-loving guy, but this shit is really serious. I love you guys, and I don't want any of you to die. So let's be safe and make sure we make it home. So Josh, anything you want to add to that?
No, he just went Debbie Downer, but no, not at all. You got me. No, but I mean, dude, yeah, I mean, you're right. You have to be careful. If anybody listens to this and watches this as an employee, and maybe you think your boss is a prick or there's too many SOP systems and processes in place, there's a reason for that. And that reason is for your safety. Because I used to think the same thing in high school when I worked on excavation sites as a laborer, in holes, scraping things down, and getting yelled at because, there wasn't a box in there. I wasn't on the right side. I didn't have high vis on. And there's a big reason for that, because people want to see you go home at the end of the day. And then on the business owner side, can you imagine having a guy working for you and watching him falling out of a tree, or a guy hitting a water line inside of a trench and just getting buried with water and drowned and rocks pulling him down? That happened twice in Boston last year from reputable companies that are union shops. 4 guys died, and 2 events within 2 months apart. I can't imagine having to watch my colleague drown in the water. There's nothing you can do about it because those things fill up like that. So I mean, when you work for someone and they have that handbook, or they have SOPs for you to listen to, they're there to protect yourself. They're there to protect you.
Dude, I'm so glad you put it like that, because it's we kind of presented it as you do this a long time and you get complacent, but that's a really good perspective, because I definitely was one of those guys that when I was young and didn't have gray hair and had long hair and thought I was super freaking cool, I would have been yeah, whatever, that no one's gonna get hurt, this is so dumb, why do we have to do this? And it's youthful inexperience. It's because okay, dummy, people have died. So if you think you're so cool, you're literally the reason we're doing this, is because the people that are too cool are the ones that don't make it out of the tree, or don't get to climb on another roof to finish the next job. And
it doesn't even have to be trees or chainsaws or demo saws. I remember a few years ago, we'd whack in my own lawn, flip the trimmer to go edge, and the second I do it, I don't have glasses on. Bing! Luckily, it dinged me off, but man, that could have taken an eye out. Now, not only are you responsible for an employee that does that, your general liability goes up, your workman's comp goes up, and with the workman's comp claim, guess what? OSHA's knocking on your door. Regardless if you're just a mow crew or what, you don't want OSHA knocking on your door because that's a whole audit right there. Just like when you talked about the tax audits, it's a whole audit with OSHA.
Yeah. Dude, it's such a, I was thinking back when I had a bunch of guys, there were a couple that came from another company, and I remember them telling a story to like everyone when we were having like a safety meeting, because everyone was kind of like young and kind of laughing it off or whatever, and they were sharing a story about how like the two of them worked under this like older guy, and one of them was like weed whipping a ditch or something like that. The old guy came over and was like, Luke, what are you doing? Put safety glasses on. And he like almost laughed him off. And like the old guy literally like threw the safety glasses on and was like, put them on now. And so he did. And like 20 seconds later, when he went back to weed whipping, a rock came up and hit safety glass so hard that it broke the safety glass. And obviously it would have had a very different result if there wasn't the safety glass there. And so it like, I'll always remember that story because those two guys were total jokers and everything was funny. And like, I mean, one of them rubbed poison ivy on the other one at one point in time. And I think he got like shingles from it. I mean, these two were like the laughable old men from the Muppets meet circus clowns. And as great as they were, like I'll always remember that story because like they had a lived experience together of like, dude, Luke almost lost his eye, and it could have been a very, very, very different experience. So, dude, very, very glad that you guys have shared this stuff. So, I mean, we've had ups and downs. Anything else we want to talk about safety wise? Otherwise, I've got a couple fun questions that we can end up with.
Let's hit the chat and see what they're saying.
All right,
I know
well,
Rich is in it.
I'll pull one up here because I'm going to let technology do its thing. We got a question for Currivan from last week's guest, Brilliant Gardens, Dylan Stevenson. He wants to know, would you rather excavate a 10 by 20 patio with a tablespoon or root for the New York Yankees?
I do it with my fucking teeth before I fucking rooted for the Yankees, dude. Get out of here.
Oh man, that is amazing.
I didn't even see that one pop up. That was good. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think he because it's not in the chat for those that don't know. If you go to the bottom of your screen, there's like a little chat icon with a question, and you can send the Echo Means Business chat, and it comes right to me because that's how we have it set up right now. And so I can see the fun questions and then decide whether I want to put them up or not. So, you know, I saw that come in and I was like, oh man, I hope Dylan stays on long enough to hear that. And it looks like he did because he loved that answer. So that's good stuff. All right. Our winner from the other week, Night 9938, says, I've never been injured on a job. Also, I work solo. The closest thing to an injury is he's had getting gasoline in his eye, which is not so fun, but at least my 2 cents is at least it evaporates. So I had I'll let you guys chime in here. I had a situation last summer where I was at a gas station fueling up one of my trucks, and I just started. And, you know, thank God my tank takes a while to fill up with all these big trucks because I had been pumping for more than 5 seconds, and over like the pump that I'm at, like a couple pumps over, I see this like splash, like I'm at SeaWorld or something like that. And I'm like, I remember thinking to myself, like, what the hell? And then I all of a sudden see this guy like doing this, and he's covered in gasoline. And so I shut off my pump, and then I went over to him, and he was so disoriented, and I got his gas shut off, and I got him inside, and I happen to know that the fire station is about a mile down the road. So we had EMTs there in like 3 or 4 minutes, and it all worked out very well for him. But, you know, just want to share that with you guys. Like sometimes, you know, we talked about job sites and stuff, but like this stuff can happen anywhere. And like that guy was so shook up, and he just like something happened. Like he went to like pull the gas out, like the handle out, and it was still on, or it ejected out, or something happened, and it led to him just being covered. And you know, I think he had it worse than just in his eye. So yeah, that stuff. You know, life comes at you fast, and it doesn't necessarily have to be at a job site. It could be on, you know, at a gas station, or you know, at the most random of times, right? Filling up equipment at the shop, or doing work at equipment at the shop. I think a lot of us, you know, maybe try and do stuff by ourselves to get ahead for the next day. And while that, like, on paper is like a really good move, safety wise might be cutting some corners. And you know, I also spend a lot of time working by myself, and have to it's something I think about. Like, I make sure pretty much everybody, like, there's somebody who knows where I'm at any given point in time in case something were to happen. That way, you know, people could find me other than my cell phone geolocation. So, anything you guys want to add before we keep scooping through here? Cool. All right, let's see. D's Lawn and Landscape. I'd rather have a rock to the face than dog poo poo. That's a good one.
Oh.
What about you, Josh? You had any dog poo poo?
Yeah. And you know what? I can't even change my cat litter box without like one of those. And this was the reason why I stopped doing that shit. I had a lawn that I only did on Saturdays. That it was a 21-inch mower, and this is the early days where I didn't say no to anything. Cut the lawn on one, you know, on the lowest setting, and move around. I'll pick up all the dog shit. Don't worry. So going around, I get into the trail after I'm done, and just a smear of dog shit from like the deck of the trail all the way up. So all right, clean that off. Going around, I'm weed whipping, I'm being careful. I don't know what I did. I took my eye off something, and I was in the edge of position. Dude, and I don't wear those full face guards. This was just like a money shot, like directly like on my lips, dude. I think I puked for like a good 10 minutes. I lost my fucking mind. The lady comes out, what's the matter? I said, what's the matter? You don't pick up your fucking dog shit. This is stupid. I'll never cut you along again. This is animal abuse. Now I got it in my fucking mouth. Like, oh, dude. From that day forward, if you had a dog, it went into my. If you have a dog, pick up the dog poop. We won't cut. We'll skip you. I'm not coming back. Dude, I am the biggest wuss when it comes to that. I don't care. Like, some guys are going, eat that shit. I feel like a Richie Plemons be like, I eat that shit for breakfast. Like, no, dude. Like, that's not me. I can't. That shit's disgusting.
Is he still frozen on your screen, or is it just mine?
I feel bad. I see him in the comments. I can't. It's just me, you, and Justin.
All right. See, on my screen, he's still frozen here. So I was going to ask if he still had, like, if we could maybe see if there's any frozen, you know,
any dog shit
today, any remnants in there? Or?
That experience alone, like, if all I did was mowing, I would upcharge everybody that I saw, like, a dog friend or a dog, like, even the cutest dog, you just want $50. Like, you're up $50, even if you clean your dog shit. And oh man, that was gross. I'll never forget that. That stuff was disgusting. Oh
man, that's woof. That's all I have to say about that is woof. Cool. Well, this has been a fun chat. I'm glad we landed it the way we did, because we've obviously talked about some pretty serious topics, but you know, a great way that clients could make sure we all stay safe is cleaning up after the beloved animals. And I say
yes.
that as a dog lover myself, who picks up after his little guy every time that he goes, and then I pick up after some of my clients' dogs as well for the exact same reason. I just get to charge them money.
Yeah.
So there you go. Here is your actionable step for the week, is to make sure that you spend some time thinking about how you could be more safe this week. Maybe take some of the tips that you've heard from Justin and Josh and see if they're applicable to you. And if you've got everything down pat, then perhaps consider offering a dog waste removal service in your community so that you can help others, especially local lawn care guys, not end up with dog doo-doo in their mouth like Josh. There's your actionable step for this week, brought to you by our friends at Echo Means Business. is. So there we go, guys. This is this week's show. Thank you so much to Josh and Justin for joining us. So as you guys can see, sorry it didn't work out with Richie. So we'll call it audible. Next week, if our sponsor is still willing to have us back and we're not getting canceled after this week's episode with, all our fun topics that we talked about. If we get to come back next week, maybe I ought to have like Richie and Scott on and give them a redo to see if we can, the two guys who had technology fails can come on and talk about safety and tips for a good season and dog doo-doo free season at that. So if not, maybe you guys will get stuck with me, or honestly, maybe you'll look out and we get canceled. How about that?
Sorry.
No, I really hope we don't get canceled. I actually really like hanging out with all you guys. So obviously, you guys have a great week. Take care of each other. And I say it all the time, but I mean it a whole bunch this week. Be safe. Take care, everybody.
Hey, guys. It was fun.